What's up, folks, and welcome back to Dyce Reacts, where we are staying in London, England tonight, where we are going to be checking out the secret number station still broadcasting creepy signals in the UK. When I saw this title, I was confused. I had to read it so many times to figure out what is the title trying to convey, and I'm still confused, but I'm very intrigued as to what this is going to be about. Yeah. Very much side checks one out. We ain't gonna waste no more time. Just gonna get right into it, folks. We're gonna get right into it. Oh yeah.
In the dead of night, across the radio spectrum, mysterious voices cut through the static. A voice, emotionless and robotic, reads out seemingly random sequences. 7, 4, 2, 9, 8. 7, 4, 2, 9, 8. Then, silence. Then it begins again. Welcome to the world of number stations, one of the most enduring mysteries of the Cold War that remarkably continues broadcasting today from locations across Britain. These aren't relics gathering dust in some museum. Right now, as you listen to this, shortwave transmitters hidden across the UK are beaming coded messages into the ether, their true purpose known only to a select few in Britain's intelligence community. And despite decades of speculation, freedom of information requests, and amateur radio detective work, the British government still won't officially acknowledge what everyone knows, that these must be spy stations, broadcasting orders to agents operating in foreign countries. Now, what are number stations? Number stations are exactly what they sound like. Radio broadcasts that consist primarily of spoken numbers, usually read by synthetic or heavily disguised human voices. But these aren't weather reports or shipping forecasts. The numbers are codes, encrypted messages designed to be received by intelligence operatives working undercover around the world. The concept is brilliantly simple. An agent sitting in a cafe in Moscow or a safe house in Beijing tunes their ordinary shortwave radio to a specific frequency at a predetermined time. They hear what sounds like gibberish to anyone else, strings of numbers or phonetic letters, but to them, it's their latest orders. No special equipment needed, no suspicious internet activity, no secret meetings in dark alleys. Just a radio that millions of people own legitimately. What makes the system so enduring is its one-way nature. The receiving agent never needs to transmit anything back, making them virtually impossible to detect. They simply listen, decode the message using a pre-arranged cipher, and carry out their mission. It's spycraft at its most elegant and most paranoia-inducing. While number stations operate worldwide, Britain has been a particularly active...
Guys, I'm learning something. This is the first time I'm hearing it. Number stations. This is like sci-fi. I don't know if I'm in the Twilight Zone, but this is genius. But it's something I don't think many people know about, because this is the first time I'm hearing that. Number station.
Broadcaster. The most famous British number station, known to radio enthusiasts as the Lincolnshire Poacher, transmitted from somewhere in the English countryside for decades. Its signature tune, the folk song The Lincolnshire Poacher, played on electronic chimes, and it became instantly recognizable to shortwave listeners around the world. The station would begin each transmission with this haunting melody, followed by a computerized female voice announcing "Attention, attention" in English, then launching into lengthy sequences of numbers. Intelligence experts believe it was operated by MI6, Britain's foreign intelligence service, to communicate with agents operating in Europe and beyond. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. British intelligence has operated numerous other stations over the years, each with their own distinctive characteristics. There was Cherry Ripe, another MI6 station that used a different folk song as its interval signal. The more utilitarian E07, which simply announced itself with electronic tones before delivering its numerical payload. And dozens of others, each serving different operational needs in geographic...
I guess they choose a folk song because, I mean, they ain't gotta have copyright issues. You know what I mean? They ain't gotta pay nobody because it's a folk song. So at least the royalties are shared, or it's no issues found in the YouTube, you know, in YouTube's policy world. So I'm guessing that's why they use the folk song. But all in all seriousness, I mean, this is something I don't even think 10% of the population even knows in terms of the world. Because, I mean, I would expect this to happen maybe back in the 1940s during those world wars. But you would think in 2026, this thing should, you wouldn't think that it was needed because of the kind of technology that we have at the moment. Not even the ones what we the public are consuming right now. I'm talking about the ones we haven't even gotten to know as it. It's still in the works. It's still underground. We don't know it. So you would think that they would need to use, I would say, such almost like backwards technology with all the advanced things we have in today's age. So this is very, very interesting. Why they still use it, I don't know. So it's like the saying, not everything is new is better, in a sense. Wow.
Regions. Now, the technical setup of Number Station is extremely straightforward, which is part of the genius. High-powered shortwave transmitters, the same type used by international broadcasters like the BBC World Service, beam signals that can travel thousands of miles. The transmission sites themselves are often disguised as commercial radio facilities or hidden among other government installations. The voices reading the numbers are typically generated by early text-to-speech systems, giving them their robotic quality. This serves multiple purposes. It protects the identity of human operators, ensuring consistency across transmissions, and it can be automated in case you need an unattended operation. Some stations use multiple languages, with English, German, Spanish, and Russian being particularly common. The encoding systems used are likely based on one-time pads, sheets of random numbers that are used only one time to encrypt a message. When properly implemented, this creates an unbreakable code. The agent in the field would have been given their own copy of the relevant pad pages, allowing them to decode the message while making it impossible for anyone else to decrypt, even if they record the entire transmission. Now, you might assume that number stations are a relic of the Cold War, made obsolete by encrypted internet communications and satellite phones, but you'd be wrong. While some famous stations like the Lincolnshire Poacher went silent in the 2000s, new ones continue to appear, and several are still broadcasting from Britain today. Modern number stations have evolved with the times. Some now use digital modes, transmitting data that sounds like the screeching of a dial-up modem. Others have moved to different parts of the radio spectrum, adapting to changing conditions and avoiding interference from commercial broadcasters. The persistence of these stations reveals something important about the intelligence world. For all of the modern technology and capabilities, sometimes there's still no substitute for a communication method that's completely one-way, requires no special equipment to receive, and leaves no digital footprints. An agent with a cheap shortwave radio is far less suspicious than one with encrypted satellite communication gear. Now, the existence of number stations has created a subculture of radio enthusiasts who spend their time tracking and cataloging these mysterious broadcasts. Online forums,
And with what you said there, it has me thinking. It's not like a sudden thought. It's something I've always been saying. But I'm gonna go in depth.
buzz with discussions about new stations, changes in schedules, and attempts to decode the messages. These radio detectives have mapped transmission sites, identified patterns in broadcasts, and even correlated some transmissions with known intelligence operations. When tensions rise in certain parts of the world, they notice corresponding increases in number stations activity. When diplomatic relations sour, new stations sometimes appear broadcasting towards specific countries. The British government's response to all this amateur investigation, of course, has been a masterclass in neither confirming nor denying. When pressed in Parliament, ministers typically respond that they do not comment on intelligence matters, and of course, for the safety of the UK, no one would want them to. Sorry, radio enthusiasts. Because at the end of the day, behind the technical fascination and spy novel glamour of it all, these broadcasts represent real human beings operating in dangerous situations, often in hostile foreign countries. The messages they receive might contain instructions that could save their lives or orders that might cost them. There have been documented cases where agents were compromised shortly after number stations' transmissions, which suggests that hostile intelligence services have at times succeeded in breaking the codes or at least identifying the recipients. The 2001 case of the Cuban Five, a group of Cuban intelligence Reactions agents operating in Florida included evidence that they had been receiving instructions via number stations, showing how these systems remain operationally relevant in modern spy cases.
This was very interesting. I have to go and do some more research on this myself. Not saying I don't believe it, but it's something so new to me, so I know this topic is way deeper than she could put any kind of depth in a 7-minute video. It just goes to show, and I've been saying that for a long time, maybe back in, I would say 2006, something of that sort, when I really started researching on different topics of that nature. Some would be controversial, some would be people would deem as like sometimes conspiracy theories, or to the point where even some people might say this is like a myth. There are many things when it comes to technology that just doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense, it still doesn't make sense. And if you barely research it, you don't even have to research, you could just use your critical thinking, and you can see there are stages of technology that doesn't even make sense. And there are some technologies that it has gone so advanced that the previous one didn't even get enough time for usage, and it was suddenly left up and then on to the next. And then you still have to go back and look at the things that the old technology had, and you're realizing that the old one was even better than what's current. And it's a question, if something is advancing in a natural way and it's not social engineered that way, why would there be a need every time to go back and use old technology if it was a gradual shift? Now, that can only make sense if something or some entity is pushing the technology, the social engineering of the whole world. It's not normal to go back to something that has solved so many problems and we go back to it, and even people or the masses saying that it was better. So that in itself just tells you that the technology that's in today's world is not going at the rate of how like human intelligence would want. It just with everything that we know, you can tell that it's not human in terms of when it comes to the progress of technology. It just doesn't make sense. All those things just tells you that there is the progress of technology is not the speed of the progress of technology. It is not human intelligence. It is otherworldly intelligence. But I don't want to go deep into that there. But that's what it tells me more than anything else, what she's saying there. Apart from the British still using those methods, I'm wondering how many other nations are using those same methods. Is it just a British thing? Hit me up in the comments, because I'm wondering how many other nations, and I'm talking about advanced nations that are far ahead in technology, are they still using that method? Hit me up in the comments. Yeah, but this was very interesting. I must say, she always goes in depth, historical, depth, and I like it. So she really has you thinking and want to research, because I really love her content, and I will certainly be doing more from her. If you want to see that longer and action that I do, hit me over on Dyce Reacts, man, music reactions. This is where I'm going to be making my exit until next time. Peace.